Peel region 'ਚ ਅੱਜ auto summit ਸੀਗੀ, second annual auto summit by Peel Regional Police. Chief, this is a good step, but question is like, what is the outcome of this? Because we had a first auto summit, now this is a second. There was a national auto summit, and what will be the outcome of these things?
So really, I think the outcome of this and the value is that we are doing our best to compel the auto industry, other stakeholders, to continue to be part of the solution for this. Because, even in Ottawa at the Federal Auto Summit, it was our opportunity to tell the federal government about our issue. But outside of that, there is no collaborative network that is committed to try to find solutions. So out of today, we have the auto manufacturers, the sales and distribution, auto parts, insurance, advocacy groups like CAA, and also other federal entities that are helping to, as well as all the police agencies, trying to come up with a multitude of solutions that we're going to commit to working on. Because outside of that, Nitin, if we didn't coordinate today, we would have waited another year probably for something. And as you can see, even the nature of the auto thefts have changed, right? I think because people are now smarter, they block their cars in, they're using aftermarket, their prevention techniques. Now we've seen the criminals, they no longer get it off the driveway, they're going in the house.
In the house.
And so, things are shifting. People are buying steel doors for their houses. As the mayor said earlier, it's too late. We need to find solutions that, we have to stop the export. So recommendations to the federal government, the ports, the intermodals. So today was really about make sure let's now commit to doing these pieces of work. Unfortunately, there's no way to make all these stakeholders commit to it.
Yeah.
We have to trust their goodwill and partnership. So today we spent a lot of time about agreeing that it's all of our commitment. We have a commitment to community to ensure that they're safe, right?
So this is a national crisis?
It is a national crisis, absolutely. I would even say that it's an international crisis because internationally our country is now known as a source for stolen cars. On an international basis, we are seen it affects our reputation as a country.
Yes.
So it really is, and people, although it affects us the most here in Peel and Toronto and York, we're trying to make sure that everybody knows it funds organized crime right across this country.
Yes. Chief, police has the barriers. Police works as a professional force and cannot cross those barriers. But there was a statement that community needs to do advocacy to the politicians and media needs to do advocacy to the politicians. Being a chief for all the regions, they need to do the advocacy at the premier level, at the prime minister level, and that's why federal summit happened. But what is the reason that governments, they are not acting? It's too late, as you mentioned, as everybody's saying, it's too late. What is the reasons that government never acted on these serious, heinous crimes?
Well, it's hard for me to comment on from the government perspective. I do believe, as you know, if you watch even at the federal level, there are a lot of competing priorities of the day, right? And some of them are not public safety, might be foreign-related issues. So there are many competing agendas. I think that is why I think you heard Chair Unica and Mayor Brown ask the public to ask their local officials to advocate, because the more they become aware that it's an issue, they too. And now I have to acknowledge today there were other mayors from other cities like Richmond Hill and Port Colborne that were here also to support the issue because I think they see it as important. But as you know, we here in Peel have the highest rate per capita. So that's why it's such a priority for us.
So governments need to do more and more and more, because whatever they do, that won't be enough?
Well, I think the government, alongside law enforcement, auto industry, if we all, we've done a lot of a listing of potential solutions. If there's an ability to consider them, to see where they can invest in them, I think we will see the impact of this reduce.
Finally, in this auto summit today, it was mentioned that we discussed the auto theft and we discussed how to reduce the auto theft. So instead of reducing it, can we eliminate also from our system, or it's just we can reduce it?
Before people were, cloning the cars or doing carjackings. I think auto theft has always existed to a smaller scale. But if you remember, 20 years ago, it might have been just a young person stealing it to drive from Brampton to Mississauga, right? And what we're seeing now is a completely different crime. It's stolen to be resold for profit. I believe we can stop that to a large extent. I really do. Because, 20 years ago, that was not, although it happened, it was revinned and resold fraudulently. It didn't represent the majority of auto theft. So I do believe at minimal we can reduce it to where it might have been in previous years.
So police forces are doing their best to control it at the moment.
We are, and there's a lot of frustration from the public. We see social media, WhatsApp groups saying, "What are the police doing? They're not doing anything." I think the public needs to know we are, especially in this last year, have never seen the amount of joint forces operations, the carjacking task force. We've been in the Port of Montreal. We have Peel police officers in the Port of Montreal, coordinating with our partners there to inspect. A lot of them, 50% of the cars stolen in Peel, we recover. It may take us some time, but a lot of work, and the amount of charges here are significant. As you know, in Peel this last year, we've doubled the auto theft unit. So a lot is happening, but some of it is not within our control, right? So this is why today we need to bring other people.
So what police chiefs need from the federal government, which needs to be acted ASAP without any delay, because lives are losing, cars are losing, borders are open. Last time you mentioned that guns are coming. On the Brampton Driveway, the car was stolen with the LMG. So what action federal government should take ASAP?
The quickest and easiest one, as you hear Deputy Milanovic said, if we put even a small amount of resources at the ports of exit, we will start to recover vehicles, and we will potentially bottleneck the theft, right? That is the most immediate way. We can work on legislation, we can work on auto manufacturers, the design of cars, but we believe even just a small amount of resourcing in the Port of Montreal or intermodal stations, we can reduce it before it leaves, right? And then we can also use the information we get from the investigations and work backwards to how and who is doing it locally. There's so many opportunities there.
So you want to make a comment on catch and release policy, like police catches and it's released, catch and release multiple times, and bail reform, we know with effect from January, we heard there's a new bail reform, but the condition is the same.
Yes. So, part of the problems is that the theft of a vehicle is seen like a theft of a lawnmower, a property, or, something more expensive, obviously. Our ability to have legislative changes, even the courts to see it as part of the big organized crime picture, might change how the jeopardy looks like. Right now it looks like a young person who stole a car for $500, right? And we want to make sure we change the totality of it. So yes, that is a big problem for us. There are times where people have to be released, but there are times where we know repeat violent offenders or repeat offenders that are involved in this type of activity, that are even coming from out of province, that are already on charges, if they were held in custody, might have prevented it.